Every good morning. Praise the Lord Jesus Christ. We are blessed in the Lord. Welcome very much to this day's program. We are grateful to God because of what He is doing in our lives. We continue to declare that the Lord is in charge of everything in our lives. And nothing scares God. Your situation, your circumstances, they don't scare God. God actually is motivated through what is happening to your life. Sometimes there are things that God allows to happen, not because they are necessary, but because through them, God will get glory. And that is why we continue to champion ourselves in the presence of God. And the Lord will do it for us. Today, by the grace of God, we continue with our program, Miracles Grace Service. And I told you there is a miracle that we are pursuing in the Lord, and the Lord will do it for us. You may ask, how will it happen? But it will happen by the means of God. So let us continue to pursue the grace of God until the Lord glorifies Himself through us. There are times you reach to a place and you say directly to God, I need to see your hand. You tell God, where I am, I need to see your hand in my life. And the grace of God that we are seeking in the Lord today is moving from scarcity to surplus. Matthew 14 and verse 20. They all ate and were satisfied. And the disciples picked 12 basketfuls of broken pieces that were left over. That grace might not be understood by someone who has everything that they need. This grace might not be appreciated by someone whose granary is full. This might not be understood by someone who is eating and have something that is left over. But this grace, if you bring it to someone who is in scarcity, like Jesus, he found himself in a crusade, and the people were hungry, and they were in a remote place. He had to feed them, or a bigger crisis would have happened. We shall see that verse as we continue. There is somewhere that Jesus told the disciples that I am afraid if I set them, they might fall on the way. That is Matthew 15 and verse 32. If you read part B says, I do not want to set them away hungry, or they may collapse on the way. And there are people, that's where they are, completely hungry. Not with the hunger of new knowledge, but with the hunger of provisions. Meaning, you are in resources starvation. You are in serious, dire need, but there is no supply of the resources that are needed to sort out that problem. And sometimes we need to bring ourselves to honest self-scrutiny. And you ask yourself, I have zero resources, but the demand on the table is way out of your ability to do it. But you lacking those resources doesn't mean the problem has been withdrawn. Actually, you might have noted, when you are in destitution, when you are impoverished, resources free, that is when problems increases. That is when demands and needs build up. And these problems are a must be sorted out. Otherwise, what will happen? You cannot handle it. So you must get a solution to this, but you don't have the solution. And that is why we said it is a miracle. Why? You are needed, you are required to sort out that matter, but you do not have the resources of sorting out that matter. And then you realize you actually sorted it out. When you look at everything, you realize this was not your ability. You realize this was not your power. That's when you conclude by saying, by the way, God intervened in this. So it was a doing of the Lord. Can we just capture this story and just read the area of need? Matthew 14 and verse 14. When Jesus ran and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them and healed their sick. I want you just to make that imagination. A large crowd that has been sick but is now healed but hungry. This person has been sick. And you know, when you're sick, you mostly don't eat well. And then you have been healed, but there is no food to eat so that you can regain your strength, the bodily, natural strength. As evening approached, the disciples came to him and he said, listen to this language. They said to Jesus, this is a remote place, number one. This is a remote place. Number two, it is already getting late. Listen to those statements. Number three, send the crowd away so that they can go to the villages and buy themselves some food. Jesus replied, they do not need to go away. You give them something to eat. Now, one day in Genesis 26, there was famine that was at Gerar. And the Lord appeared to Isaac and told him, do not go to Egypt like your father, lest you make a mistake that your father did of sourcing Hagar. So I want you to remain here. But it was during a famine season. But in Egypt, there is food. But God is telling you, do not move there. You stay here. If you stay here, the famine will destroy you. If you go to Egypt, you have disobeyed God. Do you get that? If you stay here, the famine will compromise you. If you go to Egypt, you will have disobeyed God. Now put yourself in that kind of a situation. You're between a hard place and a rock. Do I obey God or do I seek survival? Do I obey God? I refuse to go to Egypt. So here, I stay here in the famine, in a drought, in starvation, and I compromise my existence. Or I go to Egypt where there is a supply, but disobey God. The Bible says, and so Isaac stayed at Gerar. The famine was still there, but he stayed in it. So he chose to obey God rather than to pursue the physical provisional systems that will only eventually follow the pattern of his father, meaning he will come back with Hagar, another Hagar. And the Bible says he sowed in that season and he reaped 100-fold because God blessed him. And let me tell you, we have chosen to obey God by staying put, by holding on to faith, by patiently waiting on the Lord. not because we could not have gone to Egypt to get food, not because we could not have gone to there and get that provision, but you have chosen to be in the situation with God until God sorts the issue by his own mechanisms. Sometimes waiting on the Lord is not easy. Waiting on the Lord is very difficult. Because when you're waiting on the Lord, there are natural things that stops from progressing. You do notice there are things that stops from functioning, but the needs do not get withdrawn. So you find yourself, you are in a mess. You can't tell anyone that I'm waiting on the Lord. It will make you look psychic. And at the same time, you cannot then abandon God, because the Lord will proclaim it as disobedience, and there are side effects of disobedience. So you are somewhere trying to balance between the two. But the good thing about God is that he will always supply all our needs according to his glorious riches. Yes. And this is a praise that we are getting, where we must experience the hand of God unexpectedly, because it is not as you think it is. Paul told the people of Philippines, they supplied everything to him. And then he told them, and my God shall supply all your needs according to his glorious riches. And today we are discussing about moving from scarcity to surplus. If you look at this statement, they told Jesus, we are in a remote place. It is getting red. And then send them to the villages and buy themselves some food. 3 things. Number 4, Jesus said, they do not need to go away. You give them something to eat, but you don't have anything. It is an impossible thing, but made very possible in the Lord. Where is that remote place you are in? Remote meaning you are in isolated situation, isolated circumstance that does not happen to other people. So you are in a problem that seems like it is a problem of your own making. You are in a problem that looks as if it is out of your own blunders. It is out of your own negligences. So, in one way or the other, it will not command sympathy. It will not command pity. That's why they're using the word remote place. So these people, they were in remote place, but is that the original place of origin? No, they come from the cities. So even if they would collapse there, instead of being pitied, they will be criticized to sound as if that problem was their own making. Because you'll be asked, who took you from the town? Who took you from the home? Who took you from the city? And you brought yourself there. So it is your own problem. Handle it. And let me tell you, the people of God, there are people already. Right now, you're in a remote place. A place whereby you cannot command sympathy. You cannot command mercy. In isolated, solitary, desolate situation, which makes you to be alone. You try to interact. You try to intermingle. You try to connect, but you're in a remote place. So you're in a place whereby you cannot be joined by others. It is remote. Number two, you yourself, you cannot join them to where they are, because there is no means of getting out of that solitary place. Because Jesus said they do not need to go. So they could not go. They could not maneuver out. They could not try to find a way of making this happen. So you are in a solitary place, in a remote place, in an abandoned circumstance. And you are in a situation whereby what you are dealing with is an aspect of life that makes you not attract help in a circumstance that does not attract assistance. You are in a remote place. You are in a solitary place. You are in an abandoned place. So the first question that will ask you is, how did you get yourself there? And your answer will be, I took myself there. So then if you took yourself there, nobody coerced you. Nobody dictated it on you. Nobody pushed you there. Yes. Then also the way you got yourself there, get yourself out of there. Because you're in a solitary place. Because they will tell you, there we don't come. We don't belong there. It is you who is there. And how you got yourself there, get yourself from there. That's where Jesus is telling them. They do not need to go. Because if they go there to the villages, they will not be able to get the help that they are seeking. Because by getting from the villages or from the towns, they disconnected themselves from the system of the village. So, and they connected themselves with the life of solitary place or a remote place or isolated place. So, even if we were to release them to the villages, they will not be able to buy, because they will be going to those villages now as aliens. Because being in the solitary place, remote place, it means there is a form of a shift that they did. They moved themselves from the villages or from the towns to the remote place. So meaning they have left. They have left. So they have shifted. So they have transitioned. So if they go back to the same village to go and buy bread from there, the villagers will not sell it to them, because they are not connecting. They cannot do business together, because these are of the village, these are of the remote place. So these of the remote place are aliens. So they can't do business with them. I'm just trying to imagine, why did Jesus stop them from going? And he told the disciples, they do not need to go. And their disciples told Jesus, let them go. So meaning there was ability to go. There was that possibility. It could have been, it was doable. But Jesus said they do not need to go. These people have just been healed from cancer. They've just been healed from diabetes. So they are weak. And maybe during those days, when you got sick of those chronic diseases, you were considered an outcast. And then you're knocking the door at 7 a.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m. You want to buy. And they know you're an outcast. They know you're an accursed. They know you are that. What next to happen? So the Lord told them, no. You give them something to eat. And there are people right now. You are in that something called remote place. You are not connecting to the world. The villages, you're not connecting to the family systems. You are not connecting to traditional systems. You are not connecting to what works in the world. You are in the remote place. So meaning, in that remote place you are, the only thing that can help you is the answers of the remote place, the solutions of the remote place, because the solution is not in the villages. Villages symbolizing the world, family system, political systems, symbolizing godfathers, symbolizing whatever you understand as a village, witchcraft, sorcery, that even if you were to go back to that systems, you won't get the help you need. So you have to stay here. Either you starve to death, or a solution is provided. So when the solution is provided, while still in the remote place, that is a miracle. Because it was done not by your power, not by your might, but by the Spirit of the living God. It was achieved not by your effort, not by your connections, but it was done by the interventions of God. This miracle, I love it very much because if you read the version of John 6:6, Jesus says, if you read verse 5, John 6 verse 5, when Jesus looked up and he saw a great crowd coming toward him, he said to Philip, where shall we buy bread for these people to eat? He asked this only to test him, for he already had in his mind what he was going to do. You are in that mess. You are looking at the crown of starvation. Your budget is out of your ability to supply. So the demand is somehow obnoxious. The crisis is building up to the point of threatening you. It wants to push you to compromise. What if God doesn't appear? What will happen? What if, just think of it, what if this miracle didn't happen? What would have happened? It would have been a massacre out of starvation. And you can imagine how it would have affected the ministry of Jesus Christ. The government of the day would have successfully managed to stop him from preaching. Either he relocated to another country that he is not known. Imagine these people were with Jesus. 5,000 men, then include women and children. And they collapse because of starvation. And they collapse because of hunger, because of following you, because of being with you. How did Jesus explain that to anyone? And he convinced them that it was the word. You know, that is murder. That is massacre. So if you look at this miracle, you have to weigh it between the two ways. What if Jesus did not perform this miracle of multiplying the 5 loaves of bread and the 2 fish? What could have happened? All of these people would have collapsed on their way home. They would have fallen, and many of them could have died out of starvation. How would it have affected the ministry of Jesus Christ? So meaning there are miracles that they are going to happen, not because even we qualify for that miracle, but it's simply because of how it is going to paint God. You were holding on to God. You were waiting on the Lord. You were ministering to God. You were serving that God. And then you are in a need. And then you don't have the means of sorting it out. You don't have the mechanisms of sorting it out. And then that problem goes all its way and it destroys you. And the people know you were serving God. How will it paint God as in regard to you? There are so many things that will be narrated. I remember one day the Lord told Moses, get out of the midst of these people. I destroy all of them. They are so nagging. And out of you, I will build a greater and a better nation than them. And Moses told the Lord, it is okay, you can kill them. They are your people, kill them. But Moses asked the Lord, but when the Egyptians hear and the nations that hate you hear that you destroyed your people in the desert, what will they say about you? Moses told the Lord, they will say that it is because you hated them, number one. And number two is because you didn't have the power to bring them to the land you promised them. And God reasoned with Moses. And the Lord told Moses, I now agree with you. Yes, it's better I tolerate them for the sake of my own reputation as God. And there are people, that's where we are, that the Lord is coming to do something only for protecting his own reputation as a sovereign God. He will not do it because we are in need. We are in need, but that will not be the reason why he will do it. But the reason why he will do it is because of his own good reputation. He will not allow himself to be contempted. He will not allow himself to be blasphemed. He will not allow himself to be mocked through us. He will not allow himself to be scorned. He will not allow himself to be taunted through us. He will not. Just imagine if this miracle did not happen. What could have happened to the ministry of Jesus? You killed 5,000 men and their wives and their children through hunger. You preached to them and you preached to them without allowing them to go home to go and cook. So you were doing it intentionally. So you have killed them. And Jesus could have been told, even the day you were born, many children died. You are a bad omen. Bro, Jesus could have been insulted so much, and they could have successfully managed to stop Jesus from preaching and performing miracles of healing and deliverance. So there are miracles that God will do, not because of who we are, but because of what is at stake that belongs to God. What is at stake? If he does not help you, if God abandons you, if God forsakes you, in that moment you are in, what is at stake? He refuses to give you the school fees for your children. You don't have a job. You don't have a business. You don't have a bursary. You don't have government help. You don't have anyone in your family that is helping you. You don't have anyone. What will happen to your children? What will happen to your children? And Hezekiah said, the fathers will tell their children the faithfulness of God. So what is at stake there? The reputation of God to these children. Because tomorrow they would want to believe in God, but when they remember what God did to their parents, despite their parents trusting in that God, they will have some form of preservation or reservation about their faith. So God is coming because number one, He has a bigger agenda with you. Because number two, He want to achieve something about you. Number three, He want to make Himself known through you. After this miracle was done, if you read the story of John 6, if you read the story of John 6, verse 14, after the people saw the miraculous sign that Jesus did, they began to say, surely this is the prophet who is to come into the world. Jesus, knowing that they intended to come and make him king by force, withdrew again to a mountain by himself. So when this miracle was done, they got a revelation. This was the prophet that Moses said will come. So they were not, the miracle exposed the identity of Jesus. They said, for sure, this is the prophet that is supposed to come to the world. That has to do with the Deuteronomy chapter number 18 and verse 17. Moses said, is it 17? Moses says, verse 15. Deuteronomy 18 verse 15, the Lord your God will raise up for you a prophet like me from among your own brothers. You must listen to him. So they discovered this is a prophet that Moses told us that he will come. That he will come. So why will God perform this miracle? Because he wants to reveal his identity to the world through me, through you. So the problem is not meant to crush you. The problem is not meant to destroy you, but that the problem is an opportunity for God to display his realities in existence in your life, in my life. The miracle happened. Number two, if you read there, they said, it is already getting late. Why would the miracle happen? Because we are in a remote place. Number two is because it is getting late. It is getting late. Your child has not yet gone to school. It is getting late. You have not paid your rent. It is getting late. Meaning things are running out of control. Things are going out of the hands. You are about to enter into a public disgrace. Public disgrace. It is getting late. Why is this miracle today necessary? Because, number one, we are in a remote place. Meaning, we are the only one who are in this problem. Number two, it is getting late. Meaning, we have run out of options. Because it is already getting late. So the chances are we succumb to the problem. Whatever the problem was seeking, we now succumb to it. This starvation was seeking the death of these people in a massacre way. is getting late. They were saying it is going out of control. It is now overwhelming. And they were saying it is going to bring more harm than good. It is getting late. The other kids are in class. Yours is still in the house. They are about to do the second cut of the midterm. Yours is still at home. So it is already late. Not even it is getting late, but it is already late. Others have paid their rent. You have not paid your rent. And the rent deadline date has already passed. So you are already late. So what are the chances is to deal with the consequences. But will we get there? No. The road will not allow it to go out of control. The road will not allow it to go out of hands. Yes, you may see as if it is already out of control. But look through the lenses. You will see God is doing something. Why is he not moving according to your expectations? It's because this thing is not about you. This is about God himself. It is getting late. And you have been forbidden from going out. You are trying to ask help. Would you get me 5,000? No one. Either they refuse to give you or they don't have it. But even if they wanted to give you, they don't have it. You don't have a job, you have been sacked. Have you ever seen a situation whereby you are in a problem, financial problem, and instead of God opening doors, the little source you were holding on closes down? Have you ever seen that happening? You expected now God to bring more grace. Instead, you receive termination letter. You have lost your job. But the problem that you really needed this job for has not been moved. That is a setup by God. That God wants to gain glory through your predicament, through your situation. He wants to gain renown. Jesus looked at them and he told Peter, no. Don't allow them to go. Give them something to eat. Through this problem, they will know that I am the prophet that was to come. And when the miracle was done, they started mobilizing and they started wanting to make Jesus a king. And Jesus withdrew because he was not to become a king through that political suffrage. So going back to the miracle, the road is coming on board. The road is entering into this equation. He have chosen to be part of your bracket. He want to enter and supply his solutions. If you notice there, verse 17, we have here only 5 loaves of bread and the 2 fish. They answered, bring them here to me. He said, and he directed the people to sit down on the grass, taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he gave thanks and he broke the loaves. Then he gave them to the disciples, and the disciples gave them to the people. They all ate and were satisfied. And the disciples picked up 12 basketfuls of broken pieces that were left over. The number of those who ate was about 5,000 men, besides women and children. What a miracle. And this is where we are, people of God. And this is where we are. We are at a place where God himself has now chosen to take on the matter himself directly. He wants to sort out this issue. The disciples were unable. The way me as a father, I am unable. The way you as a mother, you are unable. The disciples were unable. They told Jesus, this is madness. How can we give them something to eat? Remember what Philip said. Philip said, 8 months' wages would not buy enough bread for each of one to have a bite. Philip even told Jesus, even if ourselves we were to go and buy, 8 months' wages are not enough to sort out this problem. This problem is bigger than 8 months' wages. I don't know they were being paid how much. Just say like today, they were being paid 30,000 per person, and they were 12. That by 12, that is over 42,000. 42,000 multiplied by 8. So almost close to million. And they are telling Jesus, 8 months' wages cannot feed these people, even at least of having a taste. So Philip was painting for Jesus the magnitude of the problem, how big the problem was, how heavy the matter was, how impossible the situation was. Thinking of feeding these people, Philip told Jesus, we cannot even start thinking or even planning or even budgeting about it. This one, let's just surrender. We chase them. We chase them. Then we shall explain it tomorrow. Something. Jesus told them, no, it doesn't work that way. Here it is a remote place. So this is a place of the supernatural. This is a place of the divinity. This is a place of the atmosphere of God. This is not in the village. This is on the mountainside. They were on the mountainside in a remote place. So Jesus told him, John 6:6, I already know in my mind what I am going to do about this problem. And let me tell you, that problem is almost causing you to surrender, to succumb to the situation. You are feeling like now where you are going to give in, or you are going now to accept the demonic offer that is being put on the table. Don't pick that bait. That is what the Satan wants. He wants to make the problem so extreme and so severe until you doubt the ability of God in sorting you out. And then when you have done that, you will loosen your systems, and you will not know that it was a snare. You saw the problem, but somebody else with the eyes of the spirit saw that there was something hidden in this problem. That is why today we are saying, oh Lord, take our 5 loaves of bread and the 2 fish. Thank God, look up to heaven. But now you don't have to look to heaven. You are already in heaven. Then consider your granaries. Consider your storerooms. Consider your banks. And by your power, cause these little 5 small loaves of bread, multiply by your grace, to sort out the problem and there be a surplus that we can live on sustainably. Case closed. That is God. What do we need? We need Jesus. We need Emmanuel. If you read this story, has so many things, you should say so many things. But this miracle is needed only one single factor. Emmanuel. Application of Emmanuel. The application of God with us. Jesus was there with them in that problem. And if Jesus was there with them in that problem, and that problem has come upon them because of the same Jesus, because they were following him, or the other one, he is the one who made them to follow him. So then Jesus is the one who have the sole responsibility of sorting out a matter that if not sorted out, what is at stake, what is at stake is big. So what are we going to do? Let Jesus be in this problem. Let us invite Jesus himself into the problem, because John 6:6 incriminates him. John 6:6. And he is saying, he said this to test him, because he already knew in his mind what he was going to do. So let us bring him into the problem. Into the problem. Make Jesus to be part of the problem. Because he himself is not a problem. He is a solution to the problem. And how do we bring Jesus and make him to be part of the problem? And because he is not the problem, he is a solution provider. He will provide a solution is by inviting him. How was he invited? By surrendering the little grace they were operating on. They surrendered the 5 loaves of bread and the 2 fish. They surrendered it to Jesus. Now when it is in Jesus, it multiplies. But when it is in our hands, it remains limited. So we surrender. Tell God, this is all that we have. And it cannot meaningfully make any difference. They told Jesus, they asked Jesus, but how far can it go amongst the many? Maybe whatever you are doing, let me just use a monetary example. A monetary example. Maybe you have a need currently, a need of 50,000. A need of 50,000. You do there your calculations, 50,000. And these are not wants. These are needs that must be met, because it is already getting late. But the resources available is 1,000. Resources available is 1,000. But the budget demand 50,000. What will you do? And that is your capacity. Take it, give it to Jesus. Let it be in the hands of Jesus. Whatever he is going to do with it, that is up to him. But when it is in his hands, the problem will be sorted out, and there will be surplus that will remain for you to live on sustainably. The word is sustainably. You will not find yourself again in such a quagmire without a means of sorting out yourself before it worsens. So we do what? Emmanuel, it only requires 2 things. Emmanuel, the God with us principle. And number 2 is surrendering. Surrendering that which is not enough. because he said, but the Son of Man came that we may have life and have it in abundance. But now the life you have is limited. That limited resource, can you now shift it, hand it over to Jesus? Let's see what happens when it is in his hands. What will he do with it? And God will sort out the problem in a way that you do not expect that it could have been sorted out, because it's not by power, nor by might, but it is by the Spirit of the living God. So today we are waiting on the Lord, and we are going to surrender our 5 loaves of bread. You need to understand, the 5 loaves of bread speaks of what? And the 2 fish speak of what? Surrender them to Jesus. So principle number 1 is activate Emmanuel principle, God with us principle. Then this, when he is there, that is Revelation 3:20. I stand at the door knocking. Whoever hears my voice and opens the door, I will enter. So let us allow him to enter. When he is inside now in the problem, he has now become part of the problem. This resource that is insufficient and very inadequate and very insignificant and very limited, give it to him. Let now see, when it is out of our hands into his hands, what happens? And what happens is we move from scarcity to surplus, because it is not by power, nor by might, but it is by the Holy Spirit of the living God. God bless you so much. As I always remind you, my number is on my bio, +254 112 796463. It is a Safaricom number here in Kenya, +254 112 796463. And you can tell me, man of God, I want to multiply what you have. I want to be your Jesus. So can I multiply what you have? And I'll tell you, you are very much welcome. And then send me that 50,000, 10,000, 5,000, whatever God will just compare you to the man of God. I want to multiply you. And me, I will multiply the grace on you, not by power, not by might, but through the Holy Spirit of God, releasing divine impartation of the supernatural of God. God bless you so much, and have a very fantastic, wonderful Friday. You are blessed. I am blessed. We are all blessed. Let us meet here at 9 a.m. tomorrow. If you have any prayer requests, or you have any query, or you have any story you want to share, or a testimony, my number is +254 112 796463. God bless you so much. Those who are making their ministry support, or they are making their offerings and their sacrifices, because you are convinced through faith. The same number, +254 112 796463. God bless you so much, and have a wonderful day. You are blessed. Thank you.